Hey everyone, welcome to Princess Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we are here with my blind reaction to Death Proof. This is a donation reward for for Sweet Venom. Almost got the wrong person there. And yeah, I am very excited to check this out. I don't really know anything about it, but I do know this is a Quentin Tarantino film, and it's I believe one of those films he did like earlier on that kind of had like this grindhouse style to it. Um, but that's about the extent of my knowledge. I don't know like what the story's about. I don't know who's in this at all. Um, yeah, I don't know what to expect. Knowing Tarantino films, it probably has a good cast. Probably some notable actors in it. Um, it's probably got some really cool music, some gratuitous violence and action. Uh, with the name accounted for, um, Death Proof, like, doesn't tell you a lot. It implies that I guess someone is unable to be killed, though to what degree or how that's the case, who knows. Or maybe it's just like someone is referred to as being death proof because they've been like someone's tried to kill them before and it just hasn't stuck, just hasn't worked. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here. I'm definitely interested to see where this goes, though. If for no other reason than because I do tend to like Quentin Tarantino's works, and I do tend to enjoy these kind of movies in general. So we're going to get this going and hope for the best. When the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black and then it fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the movie. So, that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So, this was Death Proof. And this movie was trying to figure out a way to word this. Incoherent, if that makes any sense. Like, this was originally like released as a double feature as part of like this duology called Grindhouse, along with Planet Terror, which is by Robert Rodriguez, directed by Robert Rodriguez. Um, I let me see if I can look it up here, real quick. Up, 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 Trying to find like reception. So, as always, take it with a grain of salt because it's Rotten Tomatoes, but Rotten Tomatoes does give it a score of 66%, and the consensus reads, Death Proof may feel somewhat minor in the context of Tarantino's larger filmography, but on its own merits, it packs just enough of a wallop to deliver sufficiently high-octane grindhouse goods. Except it doesn't. That's my biggest issue with this, is that it spends so much time focusing on the girls talking about their sex lives and their interests and all, that it doesn't actually focus very much at all on the actual action and thrills and stuff. This is obviously just off the top of my head, but if I were to give a number to it, out of the hour and 50 minutes or so that this movie runs for, obviously accounting for credits and all too. Let me see, where does the credits start here? Okay, about an hour 45. So about an hour 45 is the movie, right? For all of that runtime, maybe 30 minutes max is actual action. I feel like. The rest of the movie, a vast majority of the movie is just learning about the characters. Like, let me see. I'm trying to look through the, like, little preview window thing when you go through the bar on YouTube, on the YouTube bar. If you want to count the time where they first start doing the weird stunt they're doing, I forgot exactly what they called it. But when the girls are in the white car and doing the stunt, like where she's riding on the hood and everything, if you want to count where that starts, that's about an hour 27. So an hour 27, it's not even 20 minutes that entire climax takes place. And then the previous action part in the climax, let's say it's the part where they both the girl and Kurt Russell's character gets into the car. That's about 43 minutes in, and she is dead pretty quickly, like within like 2 minutes. And by the time the other girls die, and like right before it goes to the hospital, it's about like 49:20 or so, approximately around there. So that's 6 minutes of action there, followed by less than 20 minutes of action at the end. It's like, it's not even 30 minutes. Not even 30 minutes of thrills and action in this movie. A movie that is called Death Proof, that is about a murderous stuntman who is hunting down these young girls. And in the end, 3 of these girls get revenge on him. There's less than 30 minutes of action in the entire movie. That's insanity. The vast majority of the movie is honestly super fucking boring. And there's some things that just don't make any sense. Like in the hospital. Why did that woman get angry to have to talk to those 2 guys? I guess the cops, or I guess they were supposed to be. Why was she angry to talk to them? Never explained it. Never even insinuated anything. There's no closure to anything at the end outside of, him getting presumably killed. Like, okay, what happened with the girl they left back at the guy's place? He gave some very creepy vibes, like he was about to do something to her non-consensually. Nothing ever comes of that. And maybe that's a good thing, but you never get anything. It sets something up that it never delivers on. And it's like, it's almost like 2 separate stories almost that just happen to center around the same bad guy. It feels so disjointed because it's like, you have like, again, what was it, like 40 minutes to set up these first set of girls, and it seems like that's going to be the focus. And then they just die in less than 10 minutes. The action is less than 10 minutes long, and all of these girls are just dead. And then it just switches over to something completely different 14 months later. And it's just a new set of girls. And at first, and for most of it, he's not even involved with that. Like, again, that starts at, again, the stuff with them starts like a 127 or so. Um, the second half of the movie, where it starts going on this new set of girls after the hospital scene, starts at about 53 and a half minutes. That's a good amount of time. That's like half an hour, again, of setup for these girls. And yes, these girls get revenge on him and take him out. And that is extremely satisfying. Like I said, I don't even fully know why, because we didn't see him do much of anything. He's just kind of there at the bar in the first half, being a little bit of a creeper. And then he does, like, get 6 minutes of actual action, and then is just gone for another 30 minutes. It doesn't feel coherent. It doesn't feel like there was actual thought put into making this a movie. Like, of any kind. Like, it doesn't feel like an actual movie that has an actual, like, script going through the film. It doesn't feel like it's supposed to be this exploitation grindhouse film that's just all about the violence and insanity and death and everything, because it doesn't even do that for most of the film. It's like it doesn't seem to understand how girls talk, at least from my experience. Like I see this in a lot of films, mind you. It's not just this one, but a lot of movies tend to portray girls as talking about nothing but romance, sex, alcohol, drugs, and stuff like that. It's like, it's so one note. And in reality, it's like, girls don't just talk about that stuff. That's a stereotype. Do they sometimes talk about that stuff? Yeah, of course. But that is not all they talk about, and that is not all there is to their character. That's literally all there is to them. And you could almost say that for both sets. The only reason the second set is a little better is because they get revenge. They actually, do something, because two of them are stunt women, and they know how to handle this kind of shit. That's the only thing that makes them more interesting, because otherwise, all the setup that you do with these characters just makes them seem as vapid and shallow as the first set. It's like, you don't really do anything to actually make me care about them. So when the first set of girls die in the car accident, whether it's the girl who he had in his car in the first place, or whether it's the four girls who were in the other car, I don't give a shit. I don't care, because they meant nothing to me as characters. Because the movie didn't make them mean anything to me. The second set were a little better with that, but still really not that much better. They were still very shallow characters. It's just... I don't know if the other movie in this duology, I don't know if Planet Terror is better. But this was not good. It was boring for most of it. The only real good part, like even the first action scene, the 6 minutes of action you got in the first half, it just didn't have enough time to actually even become exciting or fun. The less than 20 minutes of action you get in the second half is better by a lot, partially because of the time, and also partially because there's more to it. But even that is just like, not that great. When most of the film is so fucking boring and hard to sit through. Like you may have noticed, I'm sure you did notice, most of the time watching this, I'm just sitting here with my face in my hand. Sometimes I had my arm up, you couldn't really tell, because of how I have the screen set up for reactions. But I'm trying to enjoy this, and I'm just failing hardcore. It's not working. I wasn't enjoying it. And it's really fucking disappointing, because this is Quentin Tarantino. This is the same filmmaker as Kill Bill, as Django Unchained, as all these other great movies. And you get this? Like, I have to check something. Is this one of his earliest movies? Because if that's the case, I could kind of forgive it. Like, maybe he hasn't gotten his style fully down yet. But it has to be after Kill Bill, because there was a Kill Bill reference in there. And the Kill Bill movies are phenomenal. Reservoir Dogs was his first. But he also did Pulp Fiction and both Kill Bills before this, as well as a movie called Jackie Brown that I've never seen. So he had 5 movies under his belt. The 4 of which that I've seen are great and very much carry his style. And this was only 2 years before Inglourious Basterds as well, which is another great movie. This movie didn't really carry his style as much as anything else I've seen that he's done. And honestly, is just not as well put together as any of them. Like, there's only 2 movies of his now, since I've seen this, that I haven't seen. I've never seen Jackie Brown, and I haven't seen Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. But I've seen everything else he has done. And they hold a very specific style. They have a very specific style, very specific feeling to them. A good director will often have a identity that is stamped through their films, and it's like you watch their movie, it's like, oh yeah, this is a Tarantino film, or so on and so forth. It's like you could just tell without even needing to be told, because their identity is stamped through how the movie is made and shot. And that goes for most of Tarantino's films, but this one is so far out of place for him. Like, this, it could have been good if it focused more on the thrills and the violence and the exploitation side of things, rather than trying to develop characters and failing miserably at it, and just spending all of your time doing that. I just don't understand. I don't understand how this could be so bad compared to everything else. Again, there's 2 of his movies I haven't seen, so I can't say on those, but with everything else I have seen of his, this is a massive disappointment. And again, I don't know how the other movie in this, Planet Terror, fares. I don't know if that's better, or what people think of that comparatively, or even how well the 2 movies work together as a double feature. I don't know any of that. What I do know is that I didn't really like this. Again, the actual parts that got thrilling, especially the last 20-something minutes, or less than 20 minutes, that was good. And that was the only good part, really, of the film. Because, again, even the 6 minutes of action in the first half didn't really have time to get good. And it's so disappointing. So goddamn disappointing. I don't know I don't know what to say. I am just really surprised by how poor I thought this film was. And again, despite all that, for some reason, the beatdown at the end was extremely satisfying. Them just punching the absolute shit out of him and beating him to death after having chased him for so long, after having already shot him before that, and beat him with a pipe before as well. It's like for some reason, that was just extremely satisfying to see, and I can't explain why. Because again, didn't really make us necessarily root for these characters, didn't make us care about them really at all, with how they were written and everything. The pacing also didn't help with that. The pacing was shit in this. And it didn't really make us hate him as much as it should have. We saw so little of him in this movie, of him actually doing anything, that it didn't really give us time to like root for his downfall as much as it should have, again, for a movie like this. And we still got no actual conclusion to a lot of things. Like I said, like we never find out, like we never get any kind of reaction to the fact that they destroyed the car they were, test driving, or what happened to the girl that they left there. That's like, are we not supposed to give a shit about her? Like, you're trying to make us care about these girls, but then one is left behind with a guy who's possibly going to rape her. It's like, are we just supposed to forget that happened? I don't understand. For the life of me, I don't get it. I don't know if there's like a lot of diehard fans of this film, but this one just did not do it for me, and it's definitely my least favorite Tarantino film as of current. If I ever see Jackie Brown or Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, that might change. I don't know. I have no idea what to expect from either of those films, but yeah. If I ever see them, that my thoughts could change, but for now, this is definitely the weakest. Um, and if anyone is curious, just if anyone actually is wondering, Kill Bill is obviously the best. If you want a specific part, I would say part one. But just in general, Kill Bill is the best Tarantino work. Probably with Pulp Fiction as a number two, which I know is a pretty generic set of choices, but just my opinion. But I love almost all of them. Like, Reservoir Dogs wasn't as good as some of the others, sure, but it was still good. Inglourious Bastards is great. Django Unchained was fantastic. Hateful Eight was good. And apparently he is going to be having at least one more movie coming out. I've heard that it was going to be his last, but I don't know if he's going to change his mind or whatnot. But apparently it's going to be called The Movie Critic, so that's going to be interesting. But yeah. I'm just flabbergasted. So, tell me in the comments below, what did you think of this movie? If you like it, by the way, I have nothing against that. It's all subjective. So I'm not trying to like veer you in a direction with my hatred for this movie. And hatred's a strong word. With my dislike for this movie. But yeah, I'd still love to know what you think, even if it's in disagreement with myself. Let me know down below. And for now, I'm Connie and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.